Hi, welcome back to day 2 of the From Tomatoes to Sauce. Today I'll be showing you how I turned the tomatoes we processed yesterday into tomato sauce today. This will include everything from the pureeing to the cooking to the canning. So stay tuned and follow along with me. Thank you. So what I'm going to do to get started is I'm going to prep my garlic and my onions and get them ready to saute because my family doesn't like a chunky sauce, so I'm going to puree everything together, the onions, the garlic, the tomatoes, and make it a really smooth sauce, kind of like a ragu, but more homemade. The tomatoes I showed you were the little tiny tomatoes from our garden. That is basically all my tomato plants did this year. They did tiny little tomatoes, and none of my beefsteak nor my Roma tomato plants really produced this year. That's why I ended up having to go out to the farmer's market and buying their big cases of canning tomatoes. But that was okay because it ended up being really, really good. This garlic was really kicking my butt. I was having so much trouble getting everything peeled. I don't know why. I usually don't have this much trouble. You see that I didn't mince the garlic as finely as I usually do, nor did I cut the onions in small slices. I'm going to end up pureeing all this stuff in with the tomatoes, so it doesn't need to be real fine. In a non-stick skillet over medium-high heat, I saute the onions and garlic in a little bit of olive oil. I cook them until the onions get a nice translucent golden color. I don't need to cook them all the way through because I will be cooking them more in the sauce. I'm basically just trying to enhance the flavors right now. I just ended up adding a little bit of salt and pepper at this point. I forgot that I hadn't done it earlier. I pretty much try to stir the onions and garlic somewhat constantly, that way my garlic doesn't burn. Now I'm going to start pureeing the onions and garlic along with the tomatoes in batches. I basically just continue blending, pureeing all the tomatoes that I have. I have 2 gallon-sized baggies. At this point, I got all my tomatoes pureed. I didn't have enough room in my bowl for the last little bit. That's why the pitcher's sitting back there. I'm stirring up the bowl to try to get it mixed sure all the garlic and the onions are well combined into the sauce. And then I'm going to scoop a cup per pot back and forth. I did this because I wanted to make sure that I got the same amount of onions and garlic in each pot, and this is the only way I could figure out how to do it. Both pans over medium-high heat. At this point, I'm going to start adding the herbs and spices to my pans. I will try to put on screen what I add. If I forget, I will put it down in the description, so check there too, please. Stir all your seasonings well into the sauce and then cover with a lid. Unfortunately, I don't have a lid for my second pan, so I end up having to use a plate, but it works. At this point, I have also turned the heat down to like a medium so that the sauce can simmer. I don't want to burn the bottom, so if you have the heat too high, you'll end up scorching your tomatoes. By this point, these pans have been simmering for about 30 minutes or so. I'm going to give them a good stir and then continue cooking. I'm trying to get the liquid down to about half, and then they'll be done. I also have my oven set at 250 degrees, and I have my canning jars in the oven. I will insert a clip of that here. The sauce now has been simmering for a good hour and a half, and as you might be able to see, the flame is at a really medium low. Everything's just about ready here. The pans have reduced by half, which has thickened it up, and now we can get ready to start canning. Spoon the sauce into the jars till the level of the sauce comes right below the rim of the jar. Remember, the jars are going to be very hot at this point since we just got them out of a 250-degree oven. I also have my lids heating in the mini crock pot. This will keep them nice and hot until I'm ready to use them when I'm putting the lids on. The partially filled fourth jar I will use for tonight's dinner. Thoroughly dry each lid before placing it on top of the jar. Use a paper towel to clean the top of the jars. That way the lids will adhere. Place the rings on the jars and then hand tighten them. Using a pot holder, grab the hot jars and firmly tighten the lids. Flip the jars over and let them set for 5 minutes. The hot liquid in the jars helps continue heating the lids and sealing the jars. After 5 minutes, carefully flip the jars back over and allow them to set on your counter for 24 hours. The jars will be totally sealed. push the centers, and you will notice that if it pops, the jar is not sealed. If it doesn't spring back, then the jar is canned properly. Label your jars so you know the date that you made them. Your jars of spaghetti sauce will be shelf stable for a year. Try to use them within that time for best flavor and taste. Thank you again for visiting Alicia's Kitchen. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something. Please leave me a comment below if you have any questions or just to say hi. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and click the notification bell to be notified when I upload new videos. Have a great day.